The distress beacon screamed across 17 light years before Kale received it. His claws punctured the armrest of his command throne, leaving deep gouges in metal as the message played again. 2 of his pack's cubs, missing for 3 solar cycles, had been traced to a human vessel drifting near the outer rim. Humans. Those deathworld survivors walked through radiation like it was morning mist. Who could metabolize epicents that would liquefy of Vrexian organs? Who hunted for sport on a planet that actively tried to kill them? The galaxy had learned to give humanity a wide berth, especially after the breach of broken chains. They were allies now, technically, but trust that came harder than diamond synthesis. "Prepare fewer pack," Kyle growled, his triple-jointed legs carrying his massive from toward the deployment bay. His silvered fur bristled with barely contained rage. The Vrexians were apex predators on 4 worlds. Their territorial instincts honed across millennia, and some human, had taken 2 of their young. The pack assembled within minutes. 20 warriors, each standing 8 feet tall with retractable echoes that could shred starship hulls. Their phosphorescent eyes glowed with ancestral fury in the dim red lighting of the bay. They would paint that human vessel with blood and claw marks. They would make an example. The human ship was small, a cargo hauler retrofitted for long-range exploration. It hung in space like wounded prey, one engine dark hull plating scorched from what looked like a plasma storm encounter. Collar scanners detected only one life sign: human and something else. 2 smaller signatures that made his breath catch in his throat. "The cubs alive. Breach protocol," Kyle commanded. "Non-lethal until I assess the situation." But if that human has harmed them, he didn't need to finish. The pack knew. They cut through the airlock with practiced efficiency, their weapons drawn, movement synchronized like the hunting parties of their ancestors. The ship's interior was cramped by Vrexian standards designed for the smaller human frame. Emergency lights cast everything in amber uncertainty. Kale's sensitive enos picked up the sense immediately. The cubs terrified but unharmed, and the human female by the chemical markers. But something else too. Something that made his predatory instincts pause. Not for scent. No aggression pheromones. Just exhaustion. And something sweet he cowed intensively. They found her in the medical bay. The human sat propped against a wall, her dark hair matted with dried blood from a gash on her temple. Her left arm hung at an unnatural angle, broken. Burns marked her flight suit where she'd clearly routed power through failing systems. The medical bay's autoto hung uselessly overhead, its power sail depleted, and on her chest, curled a togiver in a pile of borrowed blankets and her own jacket, slept Kale's cubs, the tiny Vrexians, barely old enough to have left their den. Rose and fell with her breathing. Their small claws were attracted, their bioluminescent patterns pulsing with the slow rhythm of deep peaceful sleep. One of them, Kale, recognized his daughter Lyra by her silver-tipped ears, had her face pressed against the human's collarbone, her whiskers twitching with whatever dreams occupied her young mind. The human's good arm rested protectively across them both. Kale raised his hand, halting their back. 20 weapons stayed trained on the scene, but nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The human's eyes opened slow. Brown eyes, Kale noted distantly. They were heavy with exhaustion, but they focused on him with surprising clarity. She didn't reach for a weapon, didn't try to use the cubs as hostages. She just looked at him, and somehow, impossibly, she smiled. "You must be Dad," she said. Her voice, "Took you long enough." Kyle's translator struggled with the casual human phrase, but the meaning was clear enough. He took a single step forward, every muscle coiled. "How did my children come to be on your vessel?" "Human named Siren," she said, wincing as she shifted slightly. The movement made Lyra mumble something in her sleep, and Serene immediately stilled. "Found them in an escape pod. Your ship was attacked by raiders 3 cycles ago." "Yeah. Salvagers told me about it at the trade station." Kale's eyes narrowed. The attack had been brutal. A pack of pirates who didn't survive their mistake. But in the chaos, a damaged escape pod had been launched. By the time they'd realized cubs were aboard, the pod's beacon had failed. They were dehydrated. Terrified, Saren continued. Pod's life support was failing. "I brought them aboard, got them stable." She glanced down at the sleeping forms with something painfully tender in her expression. "They wouldn't let me put them down after that. Every time I'd try to set them in the med pod, they'd cry. So you held them," Kale said slowly. "For 3 cycles, someone had to." Saren's jaw tightened. "Hit that plasma storm 18 hours ago. Lost my dock bot keeping thin genes running long enough to broadcast beacon. Your distress, their genetic markers. I knew someone would come. Just had to keep them safe until then." She'd sacrificed her own medical care for cubs that weren't her species, weren't her pack, cubs whose adults could and hadn't tended to tear her apart. Kale felt something shift in his chest, some ancient recognition that transcended space. He'd seen pack bonding before, but never across such vast biological diverse. Humans were supposed to be dangerous, unpredictable, savage in their own way. But this human had done what any parent would do, what any pack member should do. She'd protected their young at cost to herself. He holstered his weapon. Behind him, 20 warriors did the same. The simultaneous click of safeties engaging sounding like a prayer. "My daughter," Kale said quietly, approaching slowly, "has been crying in her sleep since the attack. Nightmares." Saren's expression softened. "Not tonight. Tonight, she dreamed of running through tall grass under a blueson. I could feel it the way she moved. Our home world," Kale whispered. "She's never been there. Genetic memory, maybe," Saren said. "Or just hope." Kale knelt before the human, bringing his massive from down to her level. Up close, he could see how much pain she was in. Fatima in her good arm, the shallow breathing of someone with probably cracked ribs. She'd pushed herself past all reasonable limits for his children. The pack came for blood. Kyle said softly, extending one clawed hand toward her. Palm up, non-threatening. "We come to paint your ship with vengeance." "Yeah," Saren said, eyeing his hand. "I figured. But we found something we didn't expect." Kyle's voice roughened with emotion. "We found Pack." Saren blinked, and for the first time, tears covered in those brown eyes. "I just wanted them to be safe." "They are because of you." Kale gently, carefully lifted both cubs from Saren's chest. They grumbled in protest, but didn't wake. So thoroughly exhausted, they trusted Eventhes transfer. He passed them to Hissikind in command, then turned back toward human. And now, Saren of Earth, Hesiod, carefully sliding one arm behind her back and another under her legs, lifting her as gently as he'd handle his sound cubs. "We protect you." She didn't protest, didn't fight, just leaned her head against his chest and whispered, "Thank you." The medical bay of Kale's flagship was state-of-the-art. Within 12 hours, Saren's arm was set, her wounds treated, her exhausted body finally given the rest it desperately. Kale sat beside her recovery pod, his cubs reunited with their birth pack, but refusing to leave entirely. They kept returning to press against that transparent pod wall, where Serene slept. His mate, arriving from their homeworld, took one look at the scene and understood immediately. "She's packed, no? She's packed," Kale confirmed. "The cubs have chosen." And when Saren woke days later, fully healed and stronger, she found herself adopted into something she never expected. A familiar cross the stars, bound not by blood, but by choice. The human who'd protected cubs that weren't hers. The alpha who'd relented. And the pack that learned what humanity really meant.